Well, good evening, everybody. Good to finally be back. Hopefully, everybody had a great New Year's, good Christmas, Hanukkah, all that good stuff. I know it's been a little while, so I'm looking forward to kind of getting back and kind of chewing the fat with you guys a little bit. So, been a good little time off. Was able to take a little break around the holidays, basically before Christmas and all the way through the New Year. So that was really nice break. So hopefully everybody had a good, like I said, a good Christmas, good New Year's, all of that. Everyone's staying healthy and safe and all of that good stuff. So that's the most important thing around that time of year. So anyway, so guys, thanks for joining tonight. I know it's been a little bit of a break and kind of coming into, for me, I guess, kind of 2023, a couple goals, try to be a little bit more consistent, kind of get on here with you guys a little bit more, if not every week. I mean, I'm going to try my best to make it, every Tuesday for the most part. But if I'm not able to do every Tuesday, I'm going to try to do my darndest to be on every Tuesday night, and then try to also get more guests on this year. Maybe do a little more interaction with some distilleries. Do a little bit more kind of things along those lines, have a little bit more fun, from that standpoint. I want to shift I looked at, kind of was bothering me there a little bit. All right, that's a little better. But anyway, yeah, so that's kind of my goal for 2023, be able to be a little bit more consistent, a little more content as we kind of go through a little bit more of the year. Some things will kind of change personally for me. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. I'm not going to totally spill the beans yet, but it's something exciting, something I'm really kind of looking forward to, something I'm looking forward to building and growing. I did mention I did have my own website, so I was able to kind of build some things along those lines. So lot of good stuff going on, and I'm excited to be able to share what that stuff will be, kind of down the road a little bit with you guys. So, but some good stuff really kind of happening, and I'm looking forward to kind of that next chapter for me. So it should be a lot of fun. So let me say hi to a few people that were in here early. How's it going, Roy? Good to see you, brother. Dr. Robert, good to see you, Doc. Johnny T, good to see you, buddy. Kitty, as always, good to see you. Top Dog, hey, hopefully you and Renee are enjoying some nice pours. I see all the Instagram stuff, and I'm jealous a lot. Looks like you guys have a nice little setup, and I'm always enjoying some nice whiskeys. So cheers to you guys. What's up, Nate Dog? How you doing, brother? Nate Cox, Matt Drennan, how are you doing, buddy? JG, of course. Paul P, good to see you. What else we got here? Mr. Mace, how's it going, Mark? Good to see you, bud. There's my man, Marty, Whiskey Nose. And again, I'll drop the little chat link in here a little bit as we kind of start getting into some of the kind of whiskeys of the year, things along those lines. I just wanted to revisit this. Just about everyone's got all of their videos out for the most part. And I just wanted to kind of dive into, a few of these, just kind of go over maybe not only mine, but, some of your favorites. And if you guys want to jump on, I'll put the chat link here in the chat, or whatever you want to call it, here shortly. So, what else we got here? There's the boss. How's it going, Katie? Good to see you as always. And again, if you and Ethan are set up and you want to jump on, you're more than welcome. How's it going, Eric? Good to see you, buddy. What else we got here? Might be it. How's it going, Roger? Good to see you, bud. Brett, my man, how's it going out there in Colorado? Good to see you. There's the big, bald, beautiful one right there. Good to see you, brother. What do we got? Oh, boy, this guy. Now we got trouble. Just jump on. Cheers. There you go. Bobby D, Mr. Forgate himself. Cheers, brother. What do we got? Greggy D. Greggy, how's it going, bud? Doug, how's it going? Hopefully you're staying warm. I know you are down there in the old bayou. What else we got here? I think that might be it. Bobby, how's it going? Good to see you, bud. Been following a lot of your Instagram stuff. Looks like you're having a good time, enjoying some some nice sticks. I'll say more than on occasion. I'm jealous of that. So, what else we got here? I think that's it. I think I'm all caught up. So I think we're good there. So yeah, after my live, guys, go over and check out 21090. Todd and Andy will be kind of, again, doing another fun live stream. They always keep it lighthearted and fun and all of that. So let me just kind of get into this one a little bit. So I guess kind of my first whiskey for tonight was, so for me, you guys kind of know, like I found North, I kind of got on with them pretty early on. And I'd say, Nick and I kind of chatted for quite a while and really introduced me to the whole world of Canadian whiskey done from that perspective, kind of coming from the perspective of really an American whiskey drinker, bourbons, ryes, whatever it may be. So they took that perspective and kind of nerded out, made their own brand. And now this is what we've got are some really incredible Canadian whiskeys. And the cool part about the Canadian whiskey is each grain individually, again, like Nick had mentioned on some lives, was they distill all their grains at 100%. So 100% rye, 100% wheat, 100% corn, all of those. Then they blend those components to create their style of mash bill. So when you see something from them, their percentages of 100% grain, hopefully that makes sense. But it's a really interesting kind of process that they do, and their attention to detail is tremendous. I know Nick and his brother are extremely passionate about what they do, and their whiskeys are proof of that. So this one was just to kind of let you guys know. So this was batch 5. Let me just throw this one up here a little bit. So hopefully that will pop in there a little bit. So this is batch 5. So what batch 5 was, and again, this ended up being my number 5. Now I kind of lumped bourbons and whiskeys, could be really anything, Canadian, rye, could be anything. And I did a separate rye video, but this ended up making my number 5 whiskey of the year because I really enjoyed it that much. Actually, when Jason and his girlfriend Kim were here, I gave some of this to him, and his impression was exactly like I thought it would be. I think he really enjoyed it. I mean, this thing is kind of a sugar cookie cake, sweet, rich caramels, vanillas, all of those things, nice spice and everything to it, and just tremendous. I mean, so what this is, so this is 73% corn, 27% wheat. So again, it's going to lend itself to probably wanting to be a little bit sweeter, but it's really complex, rich. There's kind of like a little bit of like a ginger snap cookie aspect to it, maybe slight orange peel, really nice, well-balanced whiskey, and one that I think is maybe going to get even better as it opens up. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this whiskey kind of develops over maybe the next 2 weeks to month. And I think it'll really maybe even, I don't want to say improve that much more, because I think it's already a tremendous whiskey. But that was my number 5 whiskey of the year. So, and like Paul said, yeah, batch 5 and batch 6 are so good. And the only reason I would say, Paul, for me, that batch 6 didn't kind of get included into my rise, where do I have that? Right here, was only because I didn't have that much time with it. As you can see, I mean, I had one small pour out of it, and then after that, I haven't really gone back to it. Now, I will be doing actually individual reviews of those at some point. I don't know when, but hopefully soon I'll be able to get some of those things done. But man, it is it's a tremendous whiskey, and I've got a video coming out where this will be something that's going to be included in there, and rightfully so. But oh man, it's just sweet buttercream. Again, that little bit of like a ginger snap, orange peel, very buttery, very viscous. This is not like your, I guess I'll say, normal Canadian whiskey, whatever that means. But I guess just what I'm trying to, emphasize is the fact that they're a brand that if you want something different and unique, I think they're on like that kind of radar. Like I think they're doing enough great things that this is a different kind of whiskey, just like a scotch or something, for all of us who drink a lot of the bourbons and ryes. This is a nice kind of spin on that to kind of get away from some of those. So if you guys haven't tried anything from Found North, I would highly encourage trying to find that out. Now or pick that up. I don't know, Doug. Now, have you tried that one yet, or are you still waiting to get it? But I'm always interested to hear other people's thought and feedback on these things as well. So. Oh, what else we got here? So yeah, it's a whiskey that is really rich, complex, viscous. They do all of their stuff at cask strength. So it's everything that we all want. And it's everything that they as a brand want. They're trying to make this a Canadian whiskey that's really designed for the American palate, which is something that a lot of us appreciate. And that's a whiskey that I think a lot of you guys would really, really appreciate. So, but that corn and that wheat balance that's there, I think they did a tremendous job with that. And we're talking, I forgot to mention this, but we're talking about a blend of 73% 21-year-old, I'm assuming corn whiskey, and 27% 8-year-old wheat whiskey. That's my thought on those kind of percentages, only because that's, well, probably more corn in that than wheat, of course, but it's so well balanced. And now, even after I did the review or did the video, that was already more than a couple weeks ago. So it's been open now for a little while. So it's really starting to shine. So beautiful whiskey. And I have to say, I've always used just the old traditional Glencairn, but I like the idea. My wife for Christmas just got me one of these like little Copita glasses, and honestly, it's kind of nice. It's almost easier to use and hold and all of that. So, what do we got here? Oh yeah, okay. So you guys had it on Friday night, so I must have. Oh yeah, you guys. Well, I know you guys kind of go hard on Fridays. Fridays at Fred's, of course. So, but hopefully you guys really enjoyed that. I mean, it's a great whiskey, and I mean, just to enjoy it on its own and everything that it has going, it's absolutely fantastic. So. All right, what do you got here, Big Vic? Journey, not my type of whiskey. Never had it. Just kidding. Yeah. Oh man, it's so good. And we did well. I mean, not to mention, we did the. Where the heck is it? Maybe it's downstairs, but we did our. Oh no, it's right here. We did our single barrel pick of this. Man, I'll tell you, they are killing these picks and stuff this year. So again, if it's something that you haven't tried, go check out Found North. So, Timmy, how's it going, bud? Good to see you. Thanks for jumping in tonight. And yeah, I'll jump. So we're almost 15 minutes in. I'm going to try to keep this to around an hour. So I will post if there's anyone ready to go and wants to kind of talk a little bit about some of their whiskeys, their best whiskeys of 2022. More power to you. I'll post the link here in a minute. So. All right, let me jump ahead a little bit. So, what was my fourth whiskey of the year? I think was, I don't know, one of these two. It was the Stag Junior Barrel King and or the 16-year Calumet. Both really good, completely different and themselves. So, Mr. Fred Swanson of Dancing Goat Distillery. Hey, Fred, how's it going, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it. Oh, my man Dusty's in here. I think he might need to share some of his best whiskeys of 2022. So, Dusty, if you're locked and loaded, hop on here in a few minutes. But Anyway, so these two, and again, for me, it was probably, and for a lot of us, 2022 introduced us to not only great MGP whiskey, but it also introduced us to those Stag Junior finished barrels. And I'll tell you what, I mean, from that time on, I've become such a huge fan of what it is that Barrel King is doing. Jared and everyone over there, they have done a really tremendous job building that brand in a relatively short period of time. So I'm happy for them and everything that's kind of happened, and to them. And I don't know, I guess kind of on a somber note, if anyone saw or not, unfortunately, right after Christmas, they lost their daughter, Claire. She had been battling, I think it was a form of cancer, if I'm not mistaken. But unfortunately, they lost her to that, and just completely devastating, heartbroken for them. I mean, to lose a 9-year-old daughter, I couldn't even imagine. So cheers to them. I'll get into this, and we can chat a little bit more. I don't want to make it too somber of a live stream, but I just wanted to mention to them, if hopefully they're doing well under the circumstances, and things are kind of getting back to normal. I have kind of chatted with them a little bit, and they're trying. I mean, I know it's going to be just time and all of that to kind of get better. But anyway, so I guess if you guys have a glass at home, raise a glass, to Jared and his wife, just kind of thinking about you guys. So cheers. And yeah, that Stag Junior, MGP finished, or MGP Stag Junior, just an incredibly well balanced. Love the blend, love the influence of that secondary barrel. The amount of chocolate, char, maple syrup that comes from these is second to none. So it's absolutely incredible. So can't go wrong. Now, I was not a fan right away of the 16 for me, and I talked to Marty and everybody like that about it, and I was just not. It was so oak dominant right away that I was kind of struggling with it. I put it, I kind of set it aside for, I mean, it must have been a month, maybe 2 months before I ever went back to it. And it started to get better. And I was seeing where this thing was maybe going to go with a little bit more airtime. And finally it kind of changed. Now, I'm a fan of oak. I just don't like it when it's such a single component where you're having to focus that heavily on it. But it was something I struggled with early, but ultimately turned into a great whiskey, one that I really enjoy. This is my second bottle. I've got a third one back there. I enjoyed it obviously that much, and they're not badly priced around here. I want to say in that 125 range. So I didn't think it was that bad for a 16-year-old, whiskey. What is this thing? 106 proof, good proof on it. So I'm fine with that. So no issue there. So what did I see? I saw somebody with the squib game. All right, there's Dave. So we were really happy with how that turned out. I mean, I think ultimately it's gotten even better than the time we tasted it. It was consensus across the board how happy we were with that, and really, really pleased with how well it ultimately ended up being kind of down the road. So, all right, for anybody who wants to jump on, let me what's Michelle got here real quick. So we just picked up a Calumet 16, looking for it. Yeah, so I'll be interested. Michelle, when you and your husband open that thing up, expect it to be fairly or very heavy oak dominant. It's gonna really maybe almost want to the point of drying out your palate, because it's that heavy of an oak influence. And I like oak, and it was almost even at the time of opening the bottle a little bit too much. So if you guys try it, work the thing down a little bit, let it sit, it will eventually, hopefully shine for you guys and start to bring out more of those kind of heavier fruit notes. The oak is always going to remain, which I'm fine with, but it was kind of toned down the more air that it got in it. So, all right, let me, for anybody who is ready to go and wants to get on, is that it? No, that's not it. Wrong one. Sorry, guys. Let me post this here real quick. Grab the link. There we go. All right. Now you guys, if anyone wants to hop on and chew the fat, you're more than welcome. So there's the StreamYard link. So anyway, so yeah, I'll be interested. So yeah, Michelle, when you guys get into it, let me know what you think. I'll be really curious to see if your reaction was a bit the same. So, you know what? This was one of those whiskeys that early on, I think got a lot of mixed kind of opinions, I would say. And I think for me, the issue was maybe the lack of people identifying the amount of oak that was there, or maybe vice versa, maybe a little bit of both, where I think people were struggling with the oak and not really sure how this thing was going to kind of develop. So that was the issue with that, was that I think the oak on this was off-putting to the point where it was just throwing people off, to the point where they just weren't able to really kind of dive into the whiskey as much as they were hoping. So what do we got here? So yeah, great. They're doing some great things. You know, when you get those higher proof ones, again, if you're struggling with some of the high proof ones that they've got, a little bit of water does help with some of them, not all of them. So again, it can be very, individual, but the Lucky 7 14-year proprietor, great whiskeys. So I don't know how you feel, but our son had, oh boy, oh man, I don't even know what that word, Hapatabula, oh my gosh, I don't even know. I already feel like well, Bobby, I can only imagine. I mean, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine, or only imagine, what that's got to be like, trying to care for a sick child. I have no idea. And for any parent who has to go through that or battle that, I mean, my hat and heart go out to you, because that cannot be an easy thing. So anyway, let's see what else we got here. I don't know. Was Jared maybe in here before? I don't know. I thought maybe he was in. So, but anyway, so yeah, if anyone wants to jump on, I dropped the link in before. If you need it again, just shoot me a message. I'll drop it in there. But anyway, so let me go back to, again, this was the Stag Junior finished MGP from Barrel King. And again, it was a surprise for a lot of us. I mean, coming into this year, I don't know if I had never had anything, and I'm pretty sure most everybody else had not had or even heard of anything like that. That's one of the really cool things that they are doing in terms of some really cool finishing barrels. Jason and I, as part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, have got a couple of cool things being finished down there as we speak. It kind of rhymes with Willet, if that makes any sense. A couple of different ones there. And then we're also going to be doing a blend with them that is going to be essentially our Patreon community blend. So we're going to get ourselves and several other patrons together to create a blended whiskey that will only be released to our patrons. So it's kind of something that we're wanting to do with you guys as people who support us, and we appreciate that. So, but anyway, Uh-oh. Here's our first guest. I can't wait to see what Roy. There he is. How's it going, brother?
Hold on, let me get you off. Hey, what's going on?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Good. Well, hey, thanks for jumping on tonight. So I guess right out of the gate, can you give me 2 or 3 of your kind of favorite whiskeys that you enjoy? It can be anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Whatever some of your favorites are.
I picked 5.
5.
I'll do them real quick. Nobody gives this one love from you guys, so I did. It's your.
Oh, that was a sneaky one. Yeah.
Barrel.
Yep.
Okay, so that's one.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I have a couple of these. The first one was off profile according to Cheech, so I did buy another one. This is batch 79 of the cigar.
Man, we never see them around here at all, and it's not something I ever get my hands on. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't, of course, but
I got lucky twice, and the first one, batch 52, I didn't care for. This is a pick I got from Jason, from one of his. I believe it was Jason. I absolutely love this one. It's the Woodford Reserve.
Oh yeah.
The 118.4.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for me, I mean, outside of, well, I don't know. For me, that's probably the best thing that they do. I mean, I wish they would do more of that kind of stuff, at a little more barrel proof stuff, but I know their batch proof stuff is kind of their main thing. So,
well, Jason said he liked it, and I just happened to walk in, and the guy said, "Oh, I might have something for you." So I picked it up, and I absolutely love it. This is another one Jason said he loved, and a lot of their stuff is on the shelves. So I know where everything is. You know how when you walk through the door and something's out of the corner of your eye is not normally there, it's there.
Yeah.
Well, the Chattanooga, this is the Founders.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, look at the color on that.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Another one that it's just so drinkable. Everything is just so drinkable. You know, it's a perfect. They all seem to be in that 110 to 120 area. I guess that's my sweet spot.
Well, that's a good. I think that's good. I mean, I've always felt that, a lot of times people want to enjoy the super high proof stuff, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's more difficult to drink. Period. Like when you start getting up into that 120 plus range, I mean, you've got to really be kind of in the mood and prepared for that.
It has to be right. If it's not done right, it's just hot.
Yeah.
And, I have an Elijah Craig Barrel Proof 130 something, and I like my A122 at I think it's 124 proof. Perfect.
Yeah. Yep. And some of those, and it does, and that can be one of those situations where you can get some higher proof whiskeys that, again, don't drink like the proof, and vice versa. So, again, it just comes with a little bit of, experience in trying different things and kind of understanding the profiles of some of them. But, that's the way whiskey is.
And my number one.
Drum roll,
please. It has to be, or else Darrell would probably kill me.
Man, I wish. I mean, knowing what we know now, like, boy, I wish we would have maybe focused a little bit more on that. Now we did the second time. We've got two of them coming, and it'll be interesting. What I really am curious to see are the people who've got some of the Houdini, and anybody who ultimately decides to pick up another one of the new bottles that will be coming down the road, or both of them, and see kind of how they compare. I mean, that Houdini, I think for us, when we were kind of thinking back to that, it really stood out in such a good way that it just dominated even the older whiskeys that we had, because we had 9-year stuff in there, and it was just a whole different ball game. So
what I like about the Whiskey Club, I'm going to try and be a plug here for you, is I've gotten whiskeys that I would have never gotten anyplace else. I don't see Nashville. I don't see Redline. And
Yeah.
look, you got your own shelf up there.
Oh, we got our own shelf. All right. Well, geez, we're honored. We're honored to have our own shelf. That's awesome.
But it's stuff that I'll never see anyplace else.
Mhm.
And that's what's great about whiskey clubs. I'm in a few,
Yeah.
and it's nice getting a Nashville barrel that I'd never see. Uh, I always put in chat, clubs, picks better or greater than hunting. I'll never hunt again. I don't have any Stag, the
Yeah.
B-Tax or the Pappies. I've never tried them. I'm not
Yeah.
even looking for them anymore. I'll get my normal mixer stuff, and then I'll just pick picks. I'll just select picks when I need them. That's how it's
Well,
going right.
that is kind of, I mean, that really is kind of how I think a lot of 2023 is going to be. I think people are, as much as I feel people cared less about all of the super highly allocated stuff, I think kind of middle to end of the year, the shift kind of started where I think people were more excited about a lot of the club picks and a lot of those things because, like you said before, not many of us, even people in the whiskey world, and we do all these things, it's not like we're just being flooded with allocated bourbon. They're not just dropping them off at our door. So, I mean, it's difficult for everyone to get these things. And I think, like you said again before, people are sick of the hunt and then ending up with nothing.
And
You
if you
know,
find, what are you paying for it?
that's the flip side is not only the time spent, to do that, which again, I've lost like all patience for that part of it. And I can, yeah,
If
and
I
I can,
start
I
something,
can see why, yeah, I can see why people invest more time and energy and money doing in whiskey clubs because, like you said, you're gonna get something different. And we kind of pride ourselves a little bit on that part of it is getting things that are outside of the box. And we've done a lot of it. Now this year we may kind of tone it down a little bit just because we don't want there to be, an issue like we ended up with, kind of the end of last year where we had a lot of things come at one time. We want a little bit more kind of control
right.
over that as much as possible. But with that being said, if there's something that presents itself, as an opportunity, we'll probably jump on it and then deal with the consequences of that later. But we're trying to keep this thing a little bit more, kind of on the straight and narrow as far as getting these things out and not just inundating you guys with one whiskey every week. We don't want that. Never intended for that to be. So
The only things I didn't get your Jack Daniels. That's because I have two unopened,
yeah.
and how many? When will I get to it?
Well, that's a statement that can be said about a lot of things. It's one
Yeah.
of those things where there's probably not many of us that are between you and I and everyone in the chat. There's probably not many of us who need more whiskey. Like I'm looking behind you. I mean, you've got enough just in the frame that you've got there that will last you a lifetime.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, it's we're not in the need game. We're just in the want game and
Exactly.
the support, whatever it may be. That's how we all justify, adding more. And I'm lucky because a lot of the bottles that you guys get, we get a lot of this stuff. So we get these things. So it's a nice little perk from that standpoint. So
I'm usually a solo drinker. I do the cocktails with my wife. We have one a night, and then I go to the drams and I just sit. What do I want tonight? It's very rare. We had Cheech and a few guys over a couple times this year, and it's
yeah,
nice having a big counter of bottles.
yeah.
And I have two cases of the sample bottles, and everybody's like it's like a chemistry class. Everybody filling up these little
Well,
bottles.
and oftentimes, we do that, or you have people over and you put all these bottles out and you're like, enjoy stuff. And at the end of the night, you look, it's like, man, did anybody even drink anything? It doesn't even look like there's a dent. I mean, this isn't like beer where you just, you can get rid of 12, 16 ounces, over a few of them. You're taking little bits and pieces of all these things, and it looks like there's not even a dent put in these bottles. So
I was afraid to put the Houdini out when I had one. I was like,
Well, that's one thing I learned. That's one thing I learned kind of a long time ago is, don't be afraid to share your good stuff with just about anybody. So,
you don't see an ounce coming out of the bottle. You see about 10 ounces coming out, but not one.
Yeah.
Well, it was fine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's good. It's some good stuff. So, all right, let me take a. Oh boy, now we're really in trouble. Look at these two locked and loaded. Look at the Turksters just showing up. Look at the boss. The boss even decided to bring the big dog in.
Yeah, I guess so.
How are you two lovely people doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, we're living the dream, man. How about y'all?
Well, we're doing all right. We're sitting here, we're amongst friends, talking whiskey, drinking whiskey, and doesn't get a lot better. I mean,
not at all.
If you guys were here and I was sharing stuff in person, I mean, it could get a little bit better, but this is the next best thing.
For sure, for sure. Me at
Definitely.
least. you at least. So look at you guys. You guys are like true professionals. You got your mic stands. I mean, you're a couple guitars away from looking like a fancy ass country band. I'll tell you that.
That's a good way to look at it.
A couple of guitars and some talent.
Yes, you could. Oh my God, look at this! It just. Yeah, we are off the rails now. Look, here we go with this stupid hat and everything comes in here. I thought the guy would at least take the hat off and put like a Badger hat on or something, but no.
I don't own a Badger hat, dude. What the
Badger
fuck?
hat? Who does own a Badger hat?
Why would I have a Wisconsin?
Here we go. Enough of this guy. We already had. Look at this guy. He's already. Look at it. He's off the rails. It's like I insulted the Mets or something.
I'm off the rails. You started it.
I know. I had to create a little bit. All right. Well, hey, let me go back to Ethan and Katie. So I guess give me 5, 3, whatever you want. What were some of your favorites this year?
Ooh,
Sagamore Sherry, Sagamore Port.
Oh yeah, that was an easy one.
Those are like top of my list.
We got our first Joseph Magnus cigar blend this year, and so that's definitely top for me.
Okay.
What batch?
Oh, which batches you guys get?
It was one of the Michigan only ones.
91.
Oh, yeah. Those were really good. I can see why you guys would love that one.
We shared it a lot, so
yeah, you it's pretty much down there.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, right?
That's true. That's the hardest part. It's like we open all these bottles, but I never seem to kill anything because I'm constantly moving on to something else where you forget about other things. I mean, it's so difficult to kill a bottle nowadays. I mean, unless I drop it, that's about the only way I can get rid of one.
I call it level. You drink everything to a level, so everything's level.
Yeah. All right, Kalori, how'd your Patreon only stuff go? What was the outcome?
Fucking Heaven Hill. I mean, clean sweep.
Oh, the 17.
Heaven Hill 17, 2 Elijah Craig barrel proofs, Larceny C922 took the top 4 slots.
Oh man.
I mean, I have 2 more tastings to do, but the fact that those 4 stood out in the blind, I don't see many bourbons that I've gotten to try this year overtaking the Heaven Hill 17, to be honest.
Yeah.
But to have those Elijah Craigs and the Larceny be so good this year, I think that's really cool for most folks because they're not that expensive, and in some areas those bottles haven't even come out yet.
Right.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear, Jason. You did one video for him, and now you're a Heaven Hill shill.
Yeah.
It seems that way, Ethan. It's going that way, and I hope it doesn't come off. I mean, I have to do another blind with some of the other. I mean, Parker's Heritage, Calumet 16, a couple of other my favorites that I got to try this year. I have to do another blind and see how they all kind of compare and kind of do my final lineup. But Hardin's Creek, and what was really surprising this year was the Woodford Reserve I did in tonight's blind, and that came in last. Which that
was the batch proof.
Yeah, the batch proof, the 118, because I think that when you put that in that bottle right there, Roy, which I loved on its own, but when you put it against other bourbons, that definitely probably have a higher age to it, it comes off really youthful for sure.
It's always I mean, it's always the best way if you really want to know kind of at least at that time how something is kind of shaping up for you. Just blind a bunch of things. That's the true test of what it is you're at least enjoying at that moment. And I mean, doesn't get any simpler than that. So
yeah. And what was funny too is when I did the blind for ECBP B versus C, when I did the whole lineup, B was first, C was second, and A was third. And then in the blind I did tonight, C ended up being my favorite over B. So
yeah,
it kind of switched a little bit. So
well, Bobby D is in the chat. He's saying the 14-year-old Foregate. I didn't even put it in there because I mean there were like 40 people who got a bottle. Like I mean there were so few. It was just you're not gonna. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, there's not much 140 plus proof.
I'd be more inclined to put the 10-year in there over the 14.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that was his next comment was the 10-year.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, just from an access standpoint, I mean that was a little bit easier.
Yeah, the 10-year will be in the next blind I do, just throwing to see how it does because it'll be. But yeah, it's the 14-year was very good with being hazmat. I think it just it hit a lot of the typical MGP flavors that I was looking for. Yeah. And I got more of those flavors in the 10-year than the 14-year.
I can see that. I mean, I think a lot of times that is the case with higher proof older whiskeys is that it becomes a little bit at times, one-dimensional. You're not all of those things that have been sitting in that barrel or that whiskey that's been sitting in there has taken on a lot of the oak, and a lot of times that becomes very forward, and it's tough to get past that and get into anything else that allows for that whiskey to be like rich and complex like we want it. So
yeah, I mean the next one I have the Foregate, the Kelvin Collab 4 in the mix. Yeah. We'll see how that does. So there's still a lot of room to see how all these Heaven Hills do against some of these other ones, but it was
Let me ask you guys this. So for the Calumet 16 this year, give me your thoughts on that. Like from the time you opened it to whatever now, what are your thoughts on the Calumet 16 overall?
So real quick for me, I wasn't crazy about it when I first opened it. It got past the shoulder. It got amazing. Yeah. Now it's down to like the last quarter, and I'm actually not liking it too much.
Okay.
Huh.
So it's kind of got into like a more medicinal type of flavor profile for me.
I think that I've heard people say they had a batching problem with Cal 16.
Maybe
some batches were much worse than others, and I think it's true. We had a sample from Kelsey Dom that was spectacular, and then bought a bottle, cracked it, and it was medicinal cherry. It was like a bad bottle of Eagle Rare.
Interesting.
I was not a happy person. So I think they have a batching problem, and so some batches we got Kelsey to pick up the same batch that he had for us after that. Some batches are spectacular. They all need air though, I think.
Yeah,
they do. They do.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I think this for me and maybe for a lot of people was the whiskey this year that it was so all over the place with people, whether they hated it or loved it. And maybe like Ethan said, maybe it had everything to do with the fact that there were batching issues and made it that inconsistent, which is a little bit unfortunate. But maybe when you're blending a lot of those older whiskeys like that, you are opening yourself up to things being much more difficult to blend because it's not easy to do with that older stuff like that. So I can totally see where that would be the case. So
I feel like though, when you're blending like that, you have one job, right?
Yeah.
You have one job with those barrels, and it's to make them consistent.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I think they probably would want to do their best. And sure. I mean, if we identify it, we know that they 100% identify the fact that these things are not the same. I mean, it's clear. So, and maybe at that point they're probably like, well, hey, we're gonna have to go with these things, and maybe that's where are kind of okay with creating these different batches, is they can say, oh, well, it's different and unique because they can't create something that's going to be identical kind of across the board. So I don't know if that's an out for them by putting these different, whatever black, whatever the hell this thing is, rack numbers and all these different things. And maybe that allows for them to kind of give us the spiel of, hey, it's not really supposed to be consistent, where I don't know, it should be, because these are, hell, this thing's only 19 barrels. That's small.
Yeah.
That's not a big batch. So
And I feel like most people in the community are okay with variants as long as you're upfront about it, right? If you just say, hey, this is batch 1, this is batch 2, or this is the LA batch 1, this is the Tennessee batch, this is the Wisconsin batch, right? And then people aren't going to complain nearly as much.
Yeah,
that's what they did essentially with the Sam Houston batches.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Why not do that with the Calumet 16 if you start tasting some of those variances? So
yeah, I think it was a marketing miss. But yeah, I don't think they did it on purpose, obviously. I just think that they had a miss somewhere, and it's really only a shame because some of them were so good. Like, we all wanted them all to be so good.
Yeah.
This one I've got, and again, I don't know, like, which one.
Well, Scott, it took you a little bit to warm up to it, correct?
So like I said it early on, was like, for me, when I first opened this thing up, I was not like a fan at all. It was so like oak forward, tannic. I'm like, man, that, as much as I even like oak, it was too much for me. And I'm like, boy, I hope to God this thing changes a little bit. And unfortunately it did. It ended up being right where I want it, where there's just enough of that kind of heavier, slightly heavier oak profile with kind of some of the fruits and chocolate spice. So it really rounded out, this one anyway, really rounded out nicely. So I was happy with ultimately how it turned out. So, but all right, let's shift to one of the other ones that factored into mine and every other whiskey nerds review list or whatever out there, was the old Sagamore Sherry finish. I think we've all said it. What they did with that thing this year was, that was a tremendous whiskey right there. It's been high on everyone's list, so I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that.
What could I say? It was my number 2. It was my number 2 rye whiskey of the year, and you could even make a case for it for one of the top whiskeys of the year overall, just with the flavor, the quality, the age, the price, everything about that bottle just says, that deserves to be on anyone's shelf. Now, if you don't like sherry, that's one thing.
Yep.
But I feel like there's enough rye whiskey influence there. The sherry just complements it so perfectly that you don't really need to worry about it. It's just such a delicious whiskey.
That it is. Where's the buy?
And I think they helped themselves out by distributing it widely enough that people could actually get it, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't everywhere, but it was a lot of places.
It was.
And that's not common.
Yep.
Mine's gone.
Yours is gone?
Yeah. That was one of those ones.
For me, even when I label this thing, it is like literally to me like the perfect like fall whiskey. Like, it just has everything you want. Like if I'm hanging out there, on my bearskin rug, all that good stuff, it's exactly what I want. So I'm hoping everyone appreciates that image I just planted in your head.
My wife really liked it too, and when that happens, when we're both drinking,
what the image of me on the bearskin rug, or when we talk about the whiskey at this point?
I think that's absolutely what he was talking about, Scott.
Yeah, okay. The whiskey. I hope the whiskey.
I'm picturing Fabio with Scott's face.
Oh man,
these two. Where you at?
How you like?
So Roy, you said you finished the Sagamore Sherry already?
Sherry, yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
Are you finding them local in your area too?
I can't get it anymore. I can get the double oaked, and I can get the cast strength and the regular, but that's it.
The sherry sat here a little bit in Ohio for at least a few weeks, and then it's all gone. Now I don't know if we'll ever see it again. I know they re-released the port finish, which is another amazing finish that Sagamore has done as well. But the double oaked and the Sagamore cast strength, they seem to do pretty well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
they did.
My eyes.
so it goes really quick. You know, I have a
Yeah.
chocolate, I have a Pritchard's double chocolate that I have to hide because she would just probably drink it out of the bottle if I let her. I mean, it's that good.
I mean, it really is kind of like a liquid cocktail. I mean, it's got everything, but the balance and the finish part of it, what I really appreciated, even though it had a fairly long finish, which is something that oftentimes I think when they really do these things that long, they become so just one dimensional, whatever the finish is. But this one really still allowed for their rye blend to still kind of shine through with just that nice influence of that sherry, but in a really perfect way. So,
Yep.
I agree. And that proof point is like near on perfect. Like a little
yeah,
bit.
what is it, 106?
106.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it like Roy and I were talking about this before. Like, I think when you start getting in this range, maybe 110 or so, like that's a real good sweet spot for a whiskey, honestly. You know, not that we don't all appreciate like a good, cask strength, whiskey at times, but we don't always need to be blown away. I mean, you can still get that 105, 110 range is it's a great proof for a whiskey to enjoy every aspect of it as far as I'm concerned. So.
Yeah, for sure. It was an absolute home run of a release that they did. Finished ryes seem to be where my palate's going, especially as of this year. So I'm looking forward to more of them. We'll see what happens.
22 was kind of definitely a year of more ryes, and I think maybe more people being introduced and starting to appreciate them a little bit more. So kind of nice to see, actually.
It'll be interesting to see what finishes they come up with for this year. I know they were hinting at like another Manhattan finish coming out.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
And they have recently released the port, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The port came out again. It's a little bit older, but still equally pretty damn delicious.
Yep.
I had it a long time ago. That was the whiskey for me that kind of got Julie, into it a little bit. Dusty had sent a bottle. Geez, this is years and years ago at this point, but we tried it and she enjoyed the damn thing and she didn't even stop drinking. I'm like, I didn't.
Yeah, that was the bottle my freaking mother finished.
Yeah, I don't know what it is,
like,
man.
I'm like, hey, I got this bottle. Dusty Dan sent it. Try it, Mom. She tried it. I mean, I literally looked at it one day. I went back the next day. It was 3/4 of it was fucking gone.
Never saw it again.
I'm like, Mom, did you drink this whole thing? She's like, oh yeah, it's so delicious. So good.
Yeah.
And that makes sense from you, Scotty, too, because Julie also likes minor case, right?
She does. Yeah, she does.
Nice.
That's
Very,
right in line.
very underrated rye, I think.
It really is. I would say that's one that probably doesn't ever get talked about enough, and I think would probably be, I don't know, geez, I think probably do really nice in a cocktail. It's not as sherry dominant as this, but again, it's a nice influence, and that's a good point. I think starting anybody off on a whiskey and maybe giving them something that's got a sweet profile, because anybody can do sweet for the most part. You're not gonna like light someone's palate up or whatever, or maybe even start with like an 80 proof, Basil Hayden or something. I think it's just, I don't know. I mean, I think giving them something like this, maybe a little lower proof, would be good, but a nice finished whiskey would be really nice too. So one other one, you guys probably have maybe all had this, maybe not, I don't know, but that new Pursuit United, that oak collection that they did, that rye and blended, he did a fantastic job with that thing. I don't think it's a whiskey yet that's getting enough attention that it probably deserves, but man, I'll tell you what, he did a damn good job blending that rye this year. Now, this one was, when they say this is a little bit tricky, so you kind of read between the lines, where blended straight rye whiskeys finished with sherry, French reserve oak, or Revere oak. So my thought is that these are probably chunks or whatever, chips or something. I don't think these are barrels. Okay,
You're right. So
right.
I think that rye really has two great things going for it. One, the base 7cc rye from this year was fantastic.
Absolutely.
Just great. And two, they are so freaking transparent about it.
Yeah.
I was watching Kenny was part of I guess an experiment trying to see if oxygen and heat has an effect on whiskey the other night. And so he streamed it. And while he did that, he was talking about it. And he was very open about the fact that it was oak chunks instead of staves or barrels. They're so upfront. It's so refreshing.
Because I know, like, on some of their podcast stuff, they had talked about, I think, working with, I want to say Independent Stave, but I don't think that's right. And there's somebody over there that I think works for them. I think that is able to allow them to kind of get some of these like chips or chunks or whatever. And I think it allows them to experiment with a lot of things. But whatever they did with that one, I mean, he did a really nice job. And again, like Ethan said, if you start with a great base whiskey and adjust accordingly from there, things can usually go pretty well for the most part. And I think he did a really, really incredible job with that.
So it's interesting. Like, to me, I really loved every time that they've come out with their bourbon and their rye. I've always geared towards the rye, but in that wood finishing series that they've done, that was the first time I geared towards the bourbon over the rye.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought was interesting. I don't know, the bourbon flavors that I got when I tried them were just real. I don't know. It was something very unique to it. The rye was very good, but there was something about the bourbon that I liked over the rye. But normally with their releases, I think Ryan does a hell of a job blending those ryes.
Yep.
Well, and I would agree. It's and for me, it probably was a little bit of reverse. I kind of gravitated towards the rye, and maybe just because of the finish part of it, but they're doing a great job blending. And maybe it's slightly unique because of the blends that they're using, the whiskeys that they're getting from those particular states. Because I think it's like New York, Tennessee, or not Tennessee.
That's the
New
bourbon.
York. Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, the bourbon's New York, Tennessee,
And
Kentucky, I think.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, it's Bardstown. It's Bardstown, Finger Lakes, and Columbia, Tennessee.
Oh, Columbia, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's not Dickel.
It's not Dickel.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So I can't say where it is, right? But they always say not from Tullahoma.
So with that being said, what should that be then? Like what more than likely would it be?
It's
do you know?
That's contract distilled. I think it's the same thing that Uncle Nearest gets.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think it finds its way into a lot of blends.
Because there is that other like large distillery that's down there that oh man, I'm drawing like a blank now on that, but maybe.
Oh, I mean, when you're talking about Columbia, Tennessee, you're looking at Corsair, Leaper's Fork, Nashville Craft Distillery, Nelson's Greenbrier, Pritchard's. There's a few down there.
And see, Pritchard's is the big one. So that's like when Ethan said it, that's kind of what I was thinking. I mean, they're a little bit larger where they might be able to do something like that as well. It's
possible.
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got to figure out what other one did I have in this mix? Oh, I almost forgot my my number one of the year, which was a little bit, actually was a combo. You doubled up. I doubled up with my number one this year, and it was the Forgate Port Perry. I was like the Fort Perry. The Forgate Port Perry was my. I mean, I just loved how this whiskey ultimately developed. Like, it's for me the perfect. If you like a port, which I do, just as long as it's not overdone. But what they did with this to me was just, I don't know. It was short of incredible, if you ask me. So,
That was another bottle that off the neck for me
Yeah.
was not. I was underwhelmed, frankly.
Okay.
And I wasn't super happy about it, but I just said, okay, we're gonna put it at the back of the shelf and we'll leave it alone for a few weeks. Kelsey Dime ended up coming over and we pulled it down, and after about 3 weeks of airtime, different whiskey altogether, much better,
Yeah.
hitting all the right notes, complexity, depth. But on the neck, it wasn't very complex.
I think it's my kind of experience, I'll say overall with a lot of the Four Gate stuff, is that I think most of, if not all of it, needs a little bit of time. Like, I think if you want to enjoy it right away, great. But I think what you're going to get maybe a month down the road is not what you're going to get if you just open the bottle like tonight. It's just, that's been my experience with a lot of things. And I kind of learned my lesson with doing a lot of the reviews of their stuff was, if I did this thing off of a neck pour, this isn't even going to be relevant in a month. Like, it's going to be a completely different whiskey and just not even the same thing. So I just, when I get them or whatever now, I just hold out, open it, try a little bit of it, try to get it down somewhat, and then let the air kind of take over. But it developed into a whiskey for me that just hits everything that I enjoy about a finished kind of rye whiskey. So,
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And port,
when I put the Port Perry Perry in last week's line with all those ryes, I was surprised that it didn't do as well as I thought it would, compared to some of the others. And I don't think it's because it's not good. I think it's because the flavors I was getting, the finish, and the impactful, the sherry notes and the port notes I was getting in my top three. I think that's what kind of took it over for me. I think when it kind of got thrown in the mix, because like Perry Perry is an amazing finished port wine, finished rye on its own, but you kind of start putting it against other things in a blind tasting, it almost comes off more as a traditional rye whiskey than a port finished rye. And I think that's what kind of led to its demise in, with not sticking out as far from what the other ones that I was tasting. Not that it's a bad rye. It was one of my favorites this year, but you put it in a blind and then it comes off more traditional rather than something that's a little bit more unique.
One thing I would say about this is, and I get exactly what you're saying, and I think I understand why it probably did what it did in a blind, is because it does drink like softer. There's like a velvety, soft texture to it where if you're competing with this up against something that's bold and spicy, it will just kick it in the balls. But on its own, like for me,
totally.
The way it kind of developed and the amount of port and influence with the rye individually was spot on. But I can see where even just drinking it now, like it's like a soft, like almost like more elegant kind of whiskey than it is a big bold spice.
Yeah, which is fine. But that, I gotta tell you, that New Riff Sherry cast strength barrel proof bottle is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's a lot of sherry influence, but as that bottle opens up and you get into it, it becomes like this dark fruit sherry bomb with the rye whiskey, the mint, the spice.
Yeah.
It gives you this long, lingering, thick, viscous finish. I'm like, my God, that bottle needs to be replicated like 40 times.
Wide release.
Right, Katie? Katie, are you cold? I feel bad for you. You want to turn the heat up?
No, I always.
You want to turn the heat up.
It's fine.
Turn the heat up a little bit. Just make the Turkmeister work a couple extra hours of OT to kind of pay for that extra heat there.
Let's get a log going. Let's get a little.
I shouldn't even say anything. Like, I'm cold all the time. Like, I'm constantly cold. It doesn't even matter.
Dude, I was just at Scott's house for New
Year. Here we go. Where's that mute button? Where's the mute button? Okay.
Listen, I'm not. You don't have to mute me. I'm talking to Julie. I know it's not your fault. Julie likes to keep it like fucking minus 50 in the house. What is going on? Everyone's walking around the house with like triple layers of clothes.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's your own house. Be comfortable.
I know.
71 is the perfect temperature in every home.
I
That's-
would
that's a
tend
little
to
warm.
agree with you. If I turned it up to 71, the heat Nazi wouldn't even be 30 seconds before there would be an alert. It would be an
The
alert.
heat Nazi.
There'd be lights
Right.
flashing and everything that the heat got changed around here.
It's like no warmth for you. You're done.
Yes.
No warmth.
Yes, she's like the heat Nazi. No heat for you.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, it's a little bit. And our basement's like a consistent like 65, so it doesn't fluctuate. So yeah, even if it was turned up to like 67, it's still, I mean, in a basement, that's still a little bit cool. So, but I fully understand.
Papa don't watch him, says Katie. Is that Gore-Tex?
Oh Jesus.
Not
He
this
doesn't-
time.
He doesn't need any damn Gore-Tex where he is. It's hot all the time.
Yeah, seriously.
Except at Christmas, it got cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what was cold exactly?
It was like 12.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cold. I can see they probably were freezing their asses off.
Yeah,
Oh, they were.
they definitely
25
were.
here.
We've been
25.
What's that? Oh, Roy got by 25 by you,
Yeah.
and you're in
25.
Florida.
Yeah,
right?
I can see. So here.
Yeah,
So here's
Florida,
like in the
Roy's in Florida. That hits 25 degrees. He's out there
Look-
with.
look at this.
Oh my God! Look at him.
Look at this. We got the tundra suit on them.
Oh man, that red though.
That red. Yeah.
No,
Look
I
at,
know.
look at that face. He always just looks pissed. I love it.
I
He is.
know.
Just- hey, if you were 15 years old, you'd be pissed too. So when you're like 80 some years old, I'll come knocking on you. You'll be like a grumpy calori. Stop bothering me.
If I was getting fed like he gets fed every like
Jesus.
2 hours, I'd be happy as shit.
I wish I could get shrimp cocktail every night.
Exactly.
Little
No joke.
bastard. Jesus.
Shit.
Anyway,
I
All right.
think Julie is nicer to Brewer than she is you sometimes, Scott. I never admit that, but
that's literally not even a that's not even I mean that's not even a debate. Like I would agree with you 100%. So that's one spoiled little animal. That guy has no idea he's a damn dog. That's for sure.
That dog is. Yeah, he is. He is
That
the
was
man.
all right. Look at this. As soon as I bring on Brewer, look at there's Renee.
Yeah,
She's
Renee.
in-
Yeah,
here's the
Renee.
door.
Look at Renee with her Boston Terrier. Look at that.
Yeah. Look at that little guy. Yeah, 15 years old. I have no idea how the hell this guy's still going, but he's got a will to continue eating shrimp cocktail.
Dude,
I
if
guess.
I was
I
getting
don't know.
fed every 2 hours, I'd want to live as long as I could too.
I suppose. Anyway, so
Right.
all right. Anybody before I kind of jump off here, anybody got anything they want to wrap things up with? Actually, let's do this. Any individual or single prediction that anyone sees happening in the world of whiskey in 2023 at all?
We were talking a little bit about this on Dusty Dan's live stream last night. About some of the whiskey predictions coming out as far as like finishes. Will the barrel shortage will we see that start affecting things? I don't know. Either way, there's a lot of whiskey, in the last 3 to 40 years that are already in warehouses aging all over Kentucky and elsewhere. So I don't know.
It's going to be a lot of year-old whiskey out.
I still struggle with the whole like oak shortage with there being so much whiskey. That's just like, it's like, where is there a shortage? Like there's so much of this stuff that it's just like,
Well, the shortage is not anything we're going to feel now. We're going to feel it down the line because they've already filled a gazillion barrels in the last several years. I mean,
Yeah.
more warehouses, more everything. It's as if we're going to feel it in the next, maybe 4 to 5 years.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how that shakes out, but I think
Somebody might be like down the road. Someone's gonna be like, "Man, this is the best old juice I've ever had." Like, how old is that? It's like 2 years, 6 months. I love this old stuff. This old stuff's the best.
somebody's drinking Hardin's Creek, huh?
Yes, and that's gonna be like it'll be like $250 million for a 2.5-year-old bourbon or something. But all right, Roy, what do you think? Anything?
Just I'm trying to think of what hasn't been used in a finish. Because that's if you're gonna have young stuff, you're gonna have to finish it in something.
I really think we're going to see a lot of blended finishes. very similar to what I think Fourgate's doing.
Like
You know,
a
when you
burro.
have- I mean, they're doing a little bit of like a double cask maturation. I think we're going to see people taking like an, I don't know, a sherry, a port, an apple brandy, whatever it may be, and then blending those together to try to make something unique. I think
How about
that might be the next thing. I think what I said last night is I think a lot of more beer finishing whiskeys is going to be the trend in 2023. I think we're going to see a lot more beer finishes, whether it be stout, porter, IPA, whatever it may be. I think that's going to be the next trend. Because I think Amburana, once that's kind of done and off the radar, I think beer finishes will slide right in next.
Yeah, that could be that was kind of my thought, was that maybe we're going to start seeing more exotic kind of oaks, like different woods or whatever it may be. Just something slightly different that maybe we haven't, all had before.
Every distillery on the planet is looking for the next big thing, whether it be a different type of oak style, different type of finish. It just it'll be interesting to see what catches on to that trend. Papa mentioned the Sazerac leaving Republic National. I know a lot of it's been made about Sazerac kind of switching distributors, but listen, it's going to be the same shit. Nothing's changing. We're not going to fucking all of a sudden find Pappy and BTAC on the shelf. It's not happening. It's not happening. They're going to do the same thing that Pappy Van Winkle had said years ago. If you read the book Pappyland, when you're talking about whiskey that's desirable, it's all about making it not accessible. So and Sazerac knows that. So no matter what distributor they have, they're not going to be like, oh, we have a new distributor, let's make it available to everyone. Fuck that. They're not doing that. Not at all.
It's definitely not going to be just a bunch of shelf items. That's for darn sure.
If anyone has any delusions that BTAC and Eagle Rare and Buffalo Trace and Weller are now going to end up on shelves all across the country, that's bullshit. That ain't happening.
Right.
Waiting on a high C finish.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're going.
I want some Hawaiian Punch finish. I drink that.
Mike says, "How about Tang?"
No. Listen, the Tang finish we already tried was the freaking Parker's Orange Curacao. We don't need any more of that shit.
Hey, here would be a great person to ask in terms of what they maybe see a little bit on the horizon. I mean, Bob D'Antoni from Fourgate. I mean, they are masters at finishing things.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear from Bob, like what things they're like working on, or what he even thinks.
Well, they have the and I always kind of like snicker when I say this word, but the Katie already knows what I'm going to say. The Majestic Wood series.
Oh, that was
Amburana.
That was the one.
Amburana and Mizunara are the two ones coming out. So I'd be very interested to see how Fourgate handled those finishes for sure.
Yeah, it will be. It'll really be interesting to see how those ultimately kind of develop. I mean, I know just in talking to Bobby, it's not going to be like a what was the $1,500 one? The one that
the rabbit hole one.
That rabbit hole, $1,500 for that thing.
Yeah,
I was like,
I just want to see Katie and Ethan do a review on one of them, and Katie turned to Ethan and said, "What do you think of this Majestic Wood?"
Yeah.
If we're gonna do that, I'm gonna have to script some things that are
very underwhelming.
Yeah, exactly.
very underwhelming, right, Katie?
Very underwhelming.
It's just a little short.
The Majestic Wood just didn't hit the spot, but whatever. So, yeah, that's the thing. So it's gonna be interesting, because I think we're for sure the finishing part of it is not going away, and it's just gonna be, I think, more and more different, hopefully fun things, and it'll be interesting to see where things go. I don't know if that'll ultimately lead to more companies also being, or distilleries being bought out or merging, or whatever it may be.
We got into that. I think there'll definitely be more consolidation. There'll be more. I think some of the we talked about Wilderness Trail being bought by Campari.
Yeah,
a lot of the Wilderness Trail was doing a lot of contract distilling, and those producers those contracts have been cut off. So now a lot of those sourcers or those folks that were counting on Wilderness Trail to distill their whiskey
The
has
NDPs.
now been cut off. So I don't know where they're going to go. What's going to
Yeah.
happen to those brands?
You just hope that some of these things where these companies do kind of either merge or get bought out, that it doesn't kind of turn into, another shoot, what is the one I'm thinking of? The Yellow Label bottle. It's like $300 the one that Dixon Deadman was.
Oh, Kentucky Owl.
Kentucky Owl. Like I think what happened with Stoli with that, I mean, I think they absolutely destroyed whatever credibility that brand, had to it. So it's one of those things where it can go both ways. And I think what happened to Kentucky Owl was I think that the brand was just destroyed. I mean, what they did to that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if Stoli's just happy to have it as part of their portfolio or whatever, but I mean, look at none of us talk about it. It doesn't end up on any lists. I mean, it's just it's gotten to the point where it's basically irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, they ruined their credibility.
They really did.
I think
sad.
so.
It's sad but true. I mean, you kind of get the kiss of death when you start going into certain whiskeys and you're upping the price based on, if you're selling a bourbon just based on the name alone, that never works out well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking last night. Don't they have a Mardi Gras one right now, and it's like $350 or $450?
yeah.
Yeah.
Screw that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that drives me nuts about Willet.
Yeah.
Willet's investing $93 million in their distillery. But do you think that's going to mean prices are going to come down? No, they're going to still sell it at a premium because for whatever reason, Willet thinks that their bourbon is much more valuable than everyone else's, and that's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Well,
Yeah.
They've sold that idea to enough people that it is.
Yeah, why? Because they have purple fucking foil in their bottles? That's bullshit. No.
I'm not saying it's not bullshit, but people believe bullshit all the time, Jason.
They do. They do.
Well, and that is, and it really kind of comes down to like for Willet, if we're going to use them as an example, like I think people have for so long put them on this pedestal that no matter what it is that goes in that bottle, people want it, and they're going to somehow spin it or justify it that it's the whiskey that they want. Like, I mean, if you convince yourself that, everything that tastes like shit is really good, well, you're just going to drink a lot of shitty stuff that you think tastes good, And
again, it just plays into that rarity factor. The same thing that Buffalo Trace does.
Oh yeah.
You don't see many ultra aged Willet bourbons on the market. So when you do, people jump on it and they think it's God's gift to whiskey when for the most part it's not. And you have to pay a premium to try it. I mean, the purple foil to me doesn't really do it for me. I see it. When you go to the distillery, you get this very, luxurious, historical, old age feeling when you're on that property. I think Willet does that in spades, and they really give you that experience when you're there. It's hard not to be romanticized by it.
Yeah.
But when you taste the whiskey and you're kind of like spending $300, $400 on a 6-year bourbon with a purple foil top, it just doesn't measure up. And I just really hope that somehow their purple top bourbons get more affordable. I don't think that's going to happen because they have a lot of other affordable bourbons that are shit that people don't talk about ever. So is it outside of like some of the Buffalo Trace stuff? Is it maybe in the world of whiskey and maybe outside of us or the perception of it? Is it maybe the most like, I guess what word am I kind of thinking of? Like the most prestigious like whiskey brand that's out there? Like, is it like what people like outside of maybe us, like people, if they could have something, maybe let's eliminate Buffalo Trace because we understand what that's about. But if you just mention a purple top, everyone knows what that is. And again, I don't think people even give a shit about
what the ages are. No one ever says, oh, that's like an 8, 10, 12, 15 year. They just classify it as a purple top and they want it, period.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but yeah,
no, but that's what I'm saying is that is that to the point where it's become such a brand that's put up on this pedestal that no matter what it is, people are going to pay money for it. And it doesn't matter.
I mean, Willet and Buffalo Trace, I mean, they're right up there with no matter what it is, people are going to buy it because they think it's amazing. But, you know, you don't hear that much talk about Willet, but the people that are in the know are willing to pay exorbitant amounts of money to get a high-age Willet.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess, and I
mean, for my money, I'd rather try to find a high-aged Willet rye over the bourbons. The bourbon profile just never really does it for me, but you never really see like a 9, 10, 11, or 12-year Willet rye.
No.
And I think maybe some of the purple tops that have come out now that are younger, I believe is their stuff now, correct? I don't think it's all the source stuff anymore, right?
No, yes, like Willet Pot Still is all their stuff now.
No, but even the purple tops, are those all sourced whiskeys still?
I think as long as they're like in the 4 to 6 year category, they are. I'm not sure about anything higher than that.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I mean, all right. I was just curious, like what?
Yeah, I believe it's still, you know, anything in that 10-year to 17-year range. I still think it's Heaven Hill.
So here, Popham kind of knows. I know he's dealt with some people.
Oh, yeah.
So 9 years and younger, purple top is Willet. So 9 years and younger is Willet stuff.
Yep.
So that's still pretty old. I mean, 9 years. A lot of us would be happier than pigs and shit with a good 9-year-old bourbon.
Yeah, but they fucking charge $800 for it. Fuck that.
Hey, settle down. Settle down. I'm not trying to.
I know. It just pisses me.
I'm not trying to have you have a heart attack or something.
I know.
On my live stream.
It just pisses me off that they charge so much for like an 8, 9-year-old bourbon when they're.
I get it. They're literally no different ultimately than Buffalo Trace for the most part. Now
I get Russell's 10-year for $35.
I know. I know.
I mean, what makes Willet at that age worth that much money? I just don't get it. I don't get it. I can't.
Look at this, like Copper Wolf said, 5-year purple top still selling 500 plus on secondary. Like 5-year-old,
5 years old,
$500, all because it's got a purple top, and that has nothing to do. You couldn't even convince me that has anything to do with the bourbon that's in that bottle.
I have a 6-year purple top, the only one that I own. I paid $300 to get it because this was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm like, I have to have this. I was programmed in my mind that it was so good that I had to buy it, and I got home and I popped that thing open, and that was one of the most disappointing bottles I've ever bought.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. But I guess at the end of the day, I mean, I wonder of those people, how many of those bottles are even being opened anyway? Honestly.
No, that's true. That's true too. You know what? I would venture that the 8 to maybe 10 or even 12-year bottles are being opened. Anything beyond that are probably collector's items.
Yeah, probably. Because I think the old stuff is old Heaven Hill, right?
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was 8, but Popham said 9. So anything beyond 9 years is most likely Heaven Hill.
I wasn't even thinking that old. I mean, I would have maxed out at like 5 years. I didn't think they had been releasing their own stuff for that amount of time. But
yep, yeah, I don't get the love for Willet. I think people fall in love with the rarity and having it on their shelf rather than what the whiskey is. Yep. So, but I will say this: I did have a Willet like 16 or 17-year bottle once at a pour. And I know like deep down it was Heaven Hill, but it was really good. But I know it's not their stuff. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, if you're going to give me an 6 to 8 year purple top, you can't be charging $400 to $500 for that. You got to make it affordable. I'm sorry. I don't care who you are.
We found 2 old Kurtz in Tennessee this year, and both of them 6 year, 9 month, and about $130, $150. It's a solid bottle at that price. Flavor profiles were great. You go above that though, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I mean, we're kind of inundated in that kind of, let's say, 5 to 8 year range whiskeys. There's a lot of that in that kind of range right now.
And there's if you think about, I was thinking about this the other day. You're just looking at bottles, just say that are $100 these days.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a range of different types of whiskeys at that price point. You can get something, as cheap or, for $100 at the low age. You can get something at $100 these days that's a high age.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. It really depends on what the brand is, what they're putting in that bottle, and what's available. But each price point, if you do it by $20, 60 to 80 to 100, 120, 140, 160, all the way up to 200, the variation of bottles at each one of those price points is so vast that to compare, you could literally compare something at $160 all the way to something that's $80.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to do that now than it was before because of the vast amount of bottles and brands that are out there. It's kind of cool, but it's kind of maddening at the same time.
Well, and I think this year, I think we saw with all of the increase in whiskeys, it went from that for the mid shelf, maybe upper kind of stuff, in that middle category, that $60 to $80 bottle. There's a lot of those now. There's a lot of.
I'm curious, Roy and Ethan and Katie, do you guys have a price point you like to stay at or stay under? I'm just curious.
The most expensive bottle I have is your Four Gates.
Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, not sorry. I guess I don't.
I got the cigar blends, which is what, $160, $180.
Yeah.
Full of Bardstown, 140. But I usually stay between. Well, I get the Old Forester 100 for what, 25.
Mm-hmm.
Up until $80. Between 30 and 80 is my sweet spot. But if it's a bottle I want, what are you going to do?
We all know. Yeah, we all know. Yeah, we all know that. Yeah.
And Ethan and Katie, is there like kind of a budget you guys stick with, or is it
less than $1 million? I'll buy it.
Less than 1 million. Yes.
That I feel like that's how 22 kind of was. That can't keep up. Now, I'm becoming hyper focused on value, honestly.
Yeah.
And so, but value is relative, right? I've found a lot of value in some of these 4-gate bottles, even at $200. But for me, some of the best stuff that I've been seeing for value wise is the stuff coming out of Green River.
Yeah, for sure.
Some of their whiskeys at 5 and 6 years their picks are spectacular.
Yep.
But price point, I mean, say under 120.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, that's adjusting more slowly than I am.
I'm adjusting more slowly, but if it's a bottle I want, then
Katie's willing to spend a little bit more. Ethan's the more budget conscious friendly. All right, Katie, you really want this one? All right, fine, whatever.
But there comes a point, and then Ethan will say, "Oh, I found this bottle, and I went ahead and got it because I know we were looking for it."
I can only imagine what those debates are like. They got to be very short. Okay, well, I really want this bottle. Okay, I'm really good with you wanting that bottle. It's okay to buy it, but the next one, that's not going to happen. And then a week later, it's all right, guys, I ran into Katie, Ethan, I ran into this bottle, and it's $150. I really want it. Can we get it? Okay, we'll get it. And then you end up with $1,100+ bottles. That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we're that far off of that sometimes. But at some point, we've got to start building a house out of these bottles. So,
yeah, I get that. So anyway,
so all of their purple tops will be in secondary.
Yeah. Yeah. They're probably shit, don't trash on it so much. We got to build a house with this. This is our investment. Yeah. We don't want those things to go down. So anyway, but all right, guys, we'll wrap it up. Hour and a half in. So everyone, thank you for tuning in tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Everyone who jumped on the chat. Thanks for coming on tonight. Greatly appreciate it. So like I said earlier on, I'm going to try to be in 23 a little more little more consistent with the Tuesday night lives. I enjoyed a lot, so hopefully I'll have a little bit more time coming up here before too much longer to focus a little bit more on this stuff. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. So everyone in the chat, thanks for joining tonight. Again, everyone who jumped on tonight, thanks for joining, and we'll see everybody next Tuesday. Cheers, guys! Happy New Year to everyone,
Cheers.
and we'll see you guys next Tuesday. Cheers.
Cheers.